Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network with Donald Eng. I'm Rob Adams. Happy Tuesday, everyone. We've got a game to go through that will likely dominate this entire program. We saw some good hockey last night, and we saw some funky stuff. Don, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Rob. Yeah, Notre Dame West Haven heads to Darien to take on the Blue Wave. An exciting game, good back and forth action, a couple of very evenly matched teams, a very good game, marred by some ugliness at the end.
Yeah, but look, first and foremost, the number 4 team in the state, if you go off the Hartford Current poll, which is what we used last night, number 4 team in the state came down to Darien, made the trip down 95, beat the top-ranked team. That's where the story should start and probably where it should finish. And hopefully we don't look back on it more. But obviously, we are duty-bound to talk about some of the silliness that took place as well. But let's focus on the hockey for a moment, because it was good hockey.
It was good hockey. I thought Darien controlled play for long stretches of the game, but didn't really get a lot of quality scoring chances. They were officially credited with 36 shots on goal. Most of those were relatively easily saved, kind of just like blockered or gloved or things like that. They didn't really get a lot of great chances. Notre Dame had fewer chances. They were able to generate the rushes and really make the most of the opportunities, putting 2 goals on the board in the latter stages of the first period.
So we do have highlights to show you that, is going to show you the whole story, in fact. It was a terrific battle between 2 wonderful teams, but then, of course, as we said, some skirmishes, so we've got some footage of that. We also have footage, and we thank Steve Buno, the sports editor down in Darien at the Times, for providing us with all this. Obviously, the play-by-play and so on came from John Kovach, myself, and Eric Gendron, and the crew who put it all together. But Steve with the interviews and some of the other goodies that you'll get to see here. And you'll get a sense for exactly what went down last night in Darien. Let's start with the highlights. But we are underway from the Darien ice rink. Through the neutral zone it goes, bouncing off the boards, out in front of the benches. 6:50 to go in the opening frame. Down into the right corner. Oh, another chance, skating through, same combination. Trying to lift the top shelf, and they score! Looking like it's gonna be Maselli on the goal, but you almost, with all that activity, John, that almost had the sense of an own goal. Now turning it around is Palillo. He'll bring it back. Back come the Knights with 2 to go in the first. Across the line, getting around them, put on net, and then he scores! Sure. Across the line come the Blue Wave. To the side of the right circle. Puck loose, turned right back around, now turned over. Right circle, hit the pipe and scores! There's your answer right there. Sam Knowlton rings the bell. It's a 2-1 game. They'll get it across the line, but just barely, and bring it back. It's a 3-on-1. Right circle sent wide. Puck loose. Hilton will climb on top of it. Little pushing, little shoving. Holidays are over.
Oh, this is ugly.
This is an ugly one with Voigt and Dumas, Zachary Dumas. Somebody's going to go have a seat and need a hug.
I think we'll let Frank get his pen ready because he's going to have some notes to take on this one.
Frank, take your notes, then we'll get to you, but that was ugly. Down to 7. Maybe time for a final rush. Bouncing it out to center. Chipping at it, but it's turned back. Thrown at the empty net, and there you go. With .1 remaining. And now things getting chippy as Herbie Hazelton has gone and climbed into a skirmish out in front of the Notre Dame net. With .1 remaining, Notre Dame of West Haven is going to get a 3-1 win, but you don't want it to end like this.
I have to think there's guys that are not going to be playing in the next game after this.
And you never expect there to be any trouble during the handshake. At that point, things begin to calm down. But nonetheless, I learned a long time ago to always take a glance back and make sure everything is kosher.
As a coach, I will tell you that you always, and it's not.
And it's not. There they go again. And now you hear coaches yelling, get off the ice. And Darien is sent packing as well. You can hear more of it get off the ice. The yelling and the screaming. And now the coach is starting to go at it a bit. Tim Belcher and Mac Budd not happy with one another, and the yelling continues out at center ice. Very unique. So you get a sense of what went on last night. Let's start with the good. And there was plenty of it. Plenty of good hockey. I didn't think Darien got the best quality chances. Now, there was talk of Connor Hilton making 35 saves.
Right.
I'm not quite there. Now,
Right.
Granted, some of those shots are at the other end of the ice, which is tough for us to see, and we have talked about that quite a bit to give you an idea of how tough it is to view things at the Darien Ice Rink from where we film. So that's part of it right there. I still wasn't sensing 35 shots. That doesn't mean I'm right. I'm just saying something I picked up on.
I mean, a lot of times you saw a lot of Darien shots, but a lot of them are going wide. They were going over the net. They were banging off the glass. If he made 35 saves, then they were counting a lot of soft pucks he sort of blockered into the corner. I didn't see 35 saves either. I would have pegged it more like 25, which actually is how many shots they credited Notre Dame with having,
right.
or how many saves they credited Darien with having presumably on 28 shots from Notre Dame, including the empty netter. So it was quality hockey. They went end to end a lot. And as I said earlier, Darien controlled play for long stretches in the first period and into the second and third, but just could never really get what I would call quality chances. Credit the Notre Dame defense for that.
Now, you saw most of the skirmishes. What you didn't see were the things that the officials didn't see, for instance. And I don't, I feel for officials who have to wade through a game like this. It's a messy game to deal with. I know those were a couple of veteran officials, so I'm not trying to get on them. Things do get missed. You got two guys on the ice. That's the way it goes. But right down below John Kovac and our entire crew, just off to the left side of the net, we saw a skirmish that took place where, and I'll, since we don't have it on film, I won't say numbers, but there was one player, a Darien player on the ice in what I considered to be a prone position, and a Notre Dame player kind of giving him the business. So that didn't get caught, and it didn't get penalized, which fascinates me.
Right. Yeah. I think there was a couple of rabbit punches kind of deal on a prone player. That you don't like to see that. Also, I think just from watching some of the video, you could also see it looked like that some of these little skirmishes were ignited by things that are sort of routine hockey plays. Like. A defenseman will always get protective of the goalie when an opposing player kind of skates in and gives him the ice shower. But that happens all the time, and I thought that was an overreaction to that. Also, in the handshake line you saw, I thought that there was a couple of little elbows and maybe soft little one-handed shoves, and then of course one of the players with the over-the-top retaliation. And the coaches, they had to come out and get their teams off the ice. You could hear them yelling, get off the ice.
And you could also hear them yelling at each other, which, that's part of defending each other's team, so I don't want to make too much of that. You don't want people to see coaches yelling at each other. They're supposed to be the adults, but I don't want to make too much of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a great look for the teams, but those two teams, I think the coaches just needed to get their teams off the ice because it was just obviously going to continue to escalate. So just get your players off the ice, get them on the buses, and live to play another day, which the teams will, with a few notable exceptions.
Yes, they will. A couple of players did get in trouble, so those are the names I will tell you because these are public knowledge. You've got Scott Voigt getting assessed a game misconduct, slapped with a 2-game disqualification, and the Notre Dame opponent, and I couldn't quite tell which player it was, so I'm not going to be, I'm not going to say a Notre Dame name and be wrong about it, but I know he lost a game in the process as well. Riley Mullen got assessed a game misconduct for what you saw at the end during the handshake line. He will sit out just the next game, which is January 12th at West Haven. But you also have a certain number of misconducts that you can have before even bigger trouble comes in. So keep that in mind also.
Yes, CIAC rules on major penalties are pretty strict, and so certainly these teams are going to have to be on their best behavior for the next 15 games or so.
Yeah, absolutely, because you don't have a whole lot of room to work with at that point. So we did get audio from both coaches. Again, thanks to Steve Buno. He was able to get with both coaches. Eric's got him keyed up, so I'll let him pick which one comes first, but a little audio from last night.
team you guys have, and you showed it today.
Thanks. Yeah, we came out and we knew today was a big game, and we wanted to put forth our best effort, and I think we did that. Darien's a great team. They always are, and it was a great 45-minute hockey game.
Right, and what did you guys do you think, to push you through? It looks like you were pushing all game long.
Yeah, I think our guys were excited to come down and play a great team, and we were fortunate enough to be on the positive end of a 3-1 game, and it was just one of those games where it could have gone either way, and I think we wore them down a little bit in the third.
Okay, and you want to say anything at all about the fracas? I see it as the fracas at the end. I see it as part of a physical game.
Yeah, it's a physical game, and everyone gets heated. Nobody wants to lose a game like that, and we have to remember at the end of the day that they're only 16, 17, and 18-year-old kids, and
it's hockey.
Yeah, it's hockey, and it's a physical game. That's all.
And how about your goalie? What's his name again?
Connor Hilton.
He had a hell of a game.
Tremendous. He was on top of things tonight, and he limited chances, and I was very happy for him to get this big W.
Just your take. Your take on the game.
I thought it was a great high school hockey game. Notre Dame West Haven is always a very strong opponent. They're well-coached team. They play aggressive. And listen, I think that we came out, and if we've had a problem so far this year, we've gotten off to very slow starts. And ironically, I think tonight we actually got off to a good start. I think our forecheck was working, and we gave ourselves some good chances. But they had a goaltender tonight who early on made some big saves for them, and they got a goal, and clearly that changed the momentum and got them feeling good about their game. And they're a good team. They've played some good teams already, and they're always a tough opponent. And so it was a great high school hockey game. Obviously, I was very disappointed with the way that we responded at the end of the game. I mean, part of the thing in sports, obviously, is you're not going to win every game, and dealing with defeat in a graceful way. So I was unhappy with what happened at the end. But before that, it's a good hockey game. So I'm happy. There's a few things that clearly we can improve upon, but that's why you play opponents like Notre Dame West Haven. If we played a generally weaker schedule, it would be hard to determine what our weak spots are and how we can improve. So we have a number of good players, and certainly it's a little bit of a setback, but we've had similar setbacks in the past, and the teams responded well. So hopefully they do so this time as well.
And what about their goalie? You probably outshot him 2-1.
Well, we put a lot of pressure on. Their goalie played very, very well. He's a good goalie. He has experience. I think if anything, once again, we seem to have a fair number of shots. But again, I think one thing that we've been working on that we can certainly improve on is giving ourselves second and third looks. I think we did that in some instances tonight, but perhaps not as much as we could. And that's the key when you face a good goalie. You have to throw pucks at the net, and you have to get bodies to the net as well.
All right, interesting comments from both coaches. Thanks again to Steve for doing that, getting the video over to us. Don and I will come back and break it all down, see what we think. I haven't really talked too much to know what Don's take is, and maybe he doesn't know mine. So we'll come back, we'll do a lot more. Going to probably talk about this game for the balance of the show. We continue right after this on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.
Here at the Darien Sports Shop, we were very excited about our newly redesigned men's department. Gentlemen, if you're shopping for work, weekend, or wedding, we've got the latest styles and trends inside our spacious new department just for you. We have vast selections from Peter Millar, Vineyard Vines, Johnny O, Duckhead, Barber, and so much more. And you can even walk out of the store in the new Wolverine 1,000-mile men's boot. Conveniently located with free and easy parking at 1127 Post Road, Darien, Connecticut. Or shop us online at dariensport.com.
It's time to come back to hometown banking, where people are taken into account, not just balances. Where community comes first. A place where there's more than one kind of interest. Where automation will never replace consideration. Where they not only know your name, they know your dog's name too. It's time to expect more. It's time to bank well. Bank smart. Bank local. Bank well.
Well, there's still a bite out on the water. Most anglers have decided to stow the gear for the winter. Just because Mother Nature isn't cooperating doesn't mean you can't see the latest models of all your favorite gear. With 2 convenient locations, it couldn't be easier to get your fix of summer. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, or on the web, dockshop.com.
I'm Kate Chaplinsky. Join us for Coffee Break, weekdays at 11 to get the latest Connecticut news, weather, high school sports, and more. News doesn't get any more local than on Coffee Break on the HAN Network.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. John Kovach joining me now. He called the game with me last night here on the broadcast. Donald Eng across the way. And look, before break, and John, you weren't here for this, but before break we heard the words of both head coaches. It's very clear to me that Mac Budd was at least taking a level of responsibility for his team. And you and I talked to Coach Budd last night, and I sensed that same thing.
I did too.
Yeah, he definitely accepted a certain amount of responsibility. Now, I don't want to point the finger because it's not definitive to me who started it. But it's easy to make the assumption that you can put it on Darien because this is the first time they're dealing with any adversity. First time they were even in so much as a deficit last night. They had not been in a deficit all season until they allowed that first goal. So it would be easy to say Darien is to blame. I can't 100% say that because I didn't see that. Did you?
No, I didn't see that. What I saw was hockey. You can't put regardless of the level, be it youth, be it minor league, be it high school, college, the NHL, you can't put people in a box, put them on blades, give everybody a stick, tell them they can crash into each other, and not expect tempers to flare every now and then. And that's what happened. It's just the penalties are different in high school hockey. High school hockey is not the NHL, and there are penalties that are severe, that are games off for incidents such as we're watching right now.
Don, your take.
Well, that right there, what we're watching, looked like just frustration. You know, a 2-1 deficit. The third goal, the empty netter. It looked like, I can't see his number, but it looked like the Darien player kind of turned and went after one of the Notre Dame players. I mean, it's possible it went the other way around. As we said, you know, it didn't look like the game was especially physical, where tempers would really flare that much. But you just can't tell what they're saying to each other, which is what I would wonder about.
Notre Dame does play a very physical brand of hockey, and I think Rob and I would both agree on that. They do use that. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It's all very clean hits, but they are very good at muscling in between a stick handler and the puck, at riding a breakaway into the boards and ending it that way. And I believe I used slamming a gate shut as an analogy last night on one of the Notre Dame defensemen. That gets irritating. And then if you're Darien, you're used to winning, you're in a deficit. Those empty net goals, if you're not in the right frame of mind, just stick with you.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like the garbage time touchdown in a football game, or the slam dunk in a basketball game that's, 25 points with 15 seconds left.
Now, I got a couple of interesting tweets that ran last night. Of course, we tweeted the game as we always do, and our tweet said, this is from HAN Network CT, handshake line breaks out into another brawl. Everyone sent to their locker rooms. Both coaches clearly frustrated. Of course, the hashtag CTHK. No capital letters, unfortunately. But all that said, CTHS Hockey Talk then responded and said, I just don't understand. Fair game, fought hard by two great teams. No need for the fights. I understand that perspective. I absolutely do.
I do as well.
But CTHS Hockey, who we've gotten, and we don't know him personally, but we know him on social media. He's great to us.
Yeah.
Absolutely great. I was intrigued by this response. I like it. Everyone is super soft these days. Frustrating one for Darien. Some muscle flexing for Notre Dame. Carry on. I know we're not supposed to fight in high school hockey. Something about that tweet I kind of like, though.
It's hockey. It's like I said, you can't put 12 people in a box, give them sticks, put them on blades, tell them they can crash into each other, and not expect things to happen. You have fights in sports. It's the nature of it. It's emotional. It would be awful if it wouldn't. We wouldn't be standing here talking on this show, and I don't think any of us would follow it if it wasn't emotional.
Right. And I agree with that to a certain extent, but but it's one thing to kind of continue to play a little bit. Coaches teach kids, to play hard to the whistle, and sometimes a little bit after. But in this case, the handshake line scuffle, that's a bit much. And just to kind of piggyback onto what you guys had mentioned about CTHS Hockey. That's at CTHS Hockey on Twitter. He did tweet also a little while ago that you know, suspensions coming down after the ND West Haven game. Then said, never a good thing this early in the year, given strict postseason eligibility rules. Well, on the other hand, what did you think was going to happen when guys brawled during the postgame handshake line?
Yeah, I totally agree. Look, to me it was hockey. I didn't like what I saw on the handshake line.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And you know, my very comments, and I know we've kind of laughed about how I said, you know, let's keep an eye on the handshake line just because you never know and you assume everybody shakes it up and then all of a sudden the pushing and shoving begins. Right. We've had a good laugh about that. That actually grew out of a state championship football game at Kennedy Stadium a little over a decade ago. Game you probably remember, Greenwich and West Haven.
Was at that game.
Yeah.
I was in the crowd.
I glanced away from the handshake line, and that's when the infamous trophy smashing took place in a very contentious football game, and it kind of taught me that day, kind of keep one eyeball on that handshake line, and yet nothing ever happens until last night.
But I will tell you as a coach that one of the things I always do, I'll shake hands with the other coaches, I might shake hands with some of the players. I will then step back, and a number of us will, and you watch the handshake line. You know, football, more players, more coaches, same level of emotion that you would have in hockey, I would imagine, though I never played hockey. But you step back and you're watching to make sure there's not something where somebody said something wrong or did something wrong that's about to boil over, and you've got to get control of it. And I will say the officials and the coaches did a very good job of getting control of that very quickly last night. That could have gotten bad because that's the one time where you have everybody on the ice. And I will say I have seen handshake lines go bad.
Yeah. It could have gotten really bad. It didn't. You know, in a lot of ways, it didn't get as bad as I think we're inclined to say. But because it's high school hockey, that's where
It's
why we're making a deal of it.
That's what people are going to focus on.
Yeah.
That it was fighting in hockey. Anytime there's an incident like this, it automatically gets down to fighting in hockey. And I just don't know that I don't condone it. I don't know that you can avoid it.
No, because and look, girls hockey, there's no checking. It's a less physical style. With no disrespect to the ladies, and I like the level of hockey that they play. I really enjoy calling girls hockey, and I know Eric Gendron can back me up on this from our game that we called a year ago, a state championship game that we talked about last week here on Nutmeg Sports. I still want them to play physical hockey, at least on the men's side.
Oh, I know I've seen a punch or two thrown in a non-contact girls game. I'll tell you that for a fact. I'll stand here and say that for a fact.
Yeah, I was thinking I've seen punches thrown in tennis matches, so it doesn't matter what they say is non-contact or what have you. There's always frustration can boil over, and as you said, particularly with a handshake line, they've just spent 45 minutes pummeling each other, and then they're all gonna have to go single file past each other in the handshake line. I'm inclined to just kind of slap hands, say nice game. It's not from the heart, we all know that, but you know, you just do it, get it over with, and get on the bus.
But it's a sign of maturity. Sorry, Rob. It's a sign of maturity to get through the handshake line without a problem. That's the indication that the clock's at zeros and we don't have to be enemies anymore.
Right, until the next game.
Until the next game.
You know, the sincere ones are the ones that they actually stop or hug each other as they go. Those are the sincere ones. We all know that. All right, we need to take one more break. We will come back, put a nice little ribbon on it. John, stick around for 8 minutes or so, and then we'll let you get back to doing what you got to do. Deal?
Thank you.
All right, back with Nutmeg Sports right after this on the HAN Network.
Denali is your outdoor retail destination in the Westfield Trumbull Mall. For the last 21 years, we have carefully selected clothing, footwear, and gear from a variety of the best outdoor brands, such as the North Face, Patagonia, Vineyard Vines, UGG, Merrell, GoPro, New Balance, and many more. Our stores have a friendly, knowledgeable staff to help you with all of your running, hiking, and cold weather needs, and in discovering all things outdoorsy and awesome. Visit us in the Westfield Trumbull Mall or online at DenaliOutdoor.com.
When you experience a sports injury, you want to get better and fast. Coastal Ortho Express gives you direct access to orthopedic care quickly. Their physicians are fellowship trained in sports medicine at world-class universities and are also team doctors for area football teams. For specialized personal care of sports injuries, go to Coastal Ortho Express. Open Monday through Saturday in the iPark building, 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk, or coastalorthoexpress.com. Coastal Orthopedics, keeping you on the move.
Discover the Wilburton Inn in Manchester, Vermont, a 30-acre historic estate featuring a turn-of-the-century mansion with elegant inn guest rooms and 7 large private vacation homes, perfect for ski vacations and holiday celebrations. Special offer on select rooms and houses. Stay 2 nights, get the 3rd night free through Christmas Day. CNN has called the Wilburton one of the top 8 mansion hotels in America. Call 802-362-2500 or visit wilburtoninn.com for more information.
Do you do a lot of running around but get nowhere when you're buying a car? Visit Pamby Chrysler Jeep Dodge and Ram for the one-stop buying experience and stop spinning your wheels.
Walter Stewart's Market in New Canaan is your local destination for the best of the holidays. Shop Stewart's for the freshest produce, certified prime rib roasts, magnolia wreaths, fresh baked pies, gingerbread houses, Christmas candies, and the season's best wine and craft brews right next door at Stewart's Spirits. Shop Walter Stewart's, 229 Elm Street in New Canaan, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a high school football coach. I'm a television presenter. And I want you to love fishing as much as I do. Tune into Yankee Fisherman, Thursdays at 1 on the HAN Network. It's like going to the tackle shop without leaving your office.
I'm back with you on Nutmeg Sports Tuesday afternoon here on the HAN Network as we get ready to begin putting a wrap on this show. Donald Eng over there, John Kovach right here. Wanted to put up a tweet that we saw, and we'll credit Danbury News Times Sports for this tweet. This is really cool. I saw this last night, and then you mentioned it to me today.
I didn't see it till not that long ago.
Look, the fighting is a little bit of a negative. This is absolutely a positive. This is the New Milford hockey team roster. And on the roster, they note it's honor roll students. So you know who's got high honors, and that's pretty well done. Nice to see the positive side here.
I'd like to see every team do that, and I'm going to suggest it.
Put their grade point average right on the roster.
Hey, there's some guys that won't want that. I will tell you that.
I know that, yeah. Well, you know, it's good to see because, as I said, we talk about student athletes every day, but, you know, there's a reason why the word student comes first.
Yeah, I mean, they are still student athletes, and they're still students first and foremost. And, you know, it's funny, I've been having a debate on Twitter with someone who has almost come right out and said he would get rid of football, for instance, completely, or athletics completely at some high schools. And that, to me, is too heavy-handed. And, you know, I still want students, I want my son to be as well-rounded as possible, even though I don't expect him to play sports. I still want that option open for all students. So I don't want to see sports go away. I don't want to see arts go away either.
It brings up a question as to the American structure of interscholastic athletics.
Yeah.
And I think it's a deeper, and we really can't get into it in the amount of time we have left, but you have the European model where school is school, and then there are athletic clubs that you pay dues to belong to, and they field teams in various sports. And is that maybe where we should have gone? There are pluses and minuses to each, but it's an interesting debate.
It certainly is. And that debate on Twitter that I was having, and it was very, you know, it was well done and all. It was not bad, as much as we all love seeing fire and brimstone. It actually grew out of the debate over Darien getting lights, which I still think they should get lights. Sorry. That's the way I feel.
Not going to disagree with you there.
Well, let's see. I worked in Darien starting when we started the Darien Times in 1993.
And the lights were imminent.
This discussion was going on then, so I'm kind of familiar with the discussion now.
Yes, you are. And
it's just there.
And, of course, after what happened with the football team, it's going to carry on. That's a conversation for another time. But, you know, look, this was a game that between good hockey and, you know, whatever you want to describe as the extracurricular activities, it was, to me, it was something that we needed to dive into completely. And could there have been more suspensions, more misconducts? Maybe. Should there have been? I don't know.
I don't know. You hope that what came out of last night sends a strong enough message to everybody, because these teams are too good, and you don't want to see them suffer losses that they wouldn't have otherwise suffered out of suspensions.
I think that's fair enough. Don?
Well, I'm just hoping for a rematch in the state playoffs.
Me too. Me too.
I'll be there.
I'll be there to watch it for sure.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. Gentlemen, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Yes, you will. I know. It seems strange to say, doesn't it? But yes, I will be back on Monday.
Every now and then, Don is able to sneak back in for a Wednesday show. But if it all works out, Dave Stewart will be alongside me tomorrow for tomorrow's program, and then we'll get you all lined up for next week. But thanks to Eric Gendron. That'll do it for Nutmeg Sports. He directed it today. Donald Eng stood over there. John Kovach joined us for a couple of minutes. For all of them and all of us here at the HAN Network, I'm Rob Adams. We start your day tomorrow with Coffee Break at 11 o'clock. We've got to cast the line on Thursday.
Thursday, 1 o'clock. It's a big one.
Sounds good. But for now, we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.